Have you ever faced challenges so overwhelming that no solution seemed to work? Do you feel like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders? In today's video, we're diving deep into why putting God at the center of your life is the key to overcoming those challenges. No matter how big or small the problem, when you rely on a higher power, you gain strength and clarity beyond your own understanding. By the end of this video, you'll discover practical ways to invite God into your struggles and learn how faith can turn even the darkest moments into opportunities for growth. Whether you're battling stress, uncertainty, or just feeling stuck, this message is for you. Stay with me because this could be the turning point you've been searching for. If you're ready to face your challenges with renewed hope and faith, keep watching. This video will show you how placing God at the center changes everything.
Financial problems.
Imagine someone struggling to make ends meet every month. The paycheck doesn't cover the expenses, and every new bill feels like an added weight on their shoulders. This person tries everything, cutting costs, working extra hours, asking friends for help, but nothing seems to work. Desperation sets in. But when we put God at the center, we find peace even amidst the difficulties. Trusting Him opens doors to unexpected solutions and reminds us that money doesn't define our worth. Block 1. Common challenges everyone faces. Challenges are a part of life for everyone. No matter the context, there's always something that feels out of control. Whether it's financial difficulties, workplace problems, or personal issues, these struggles can push us to our limits. In this section, we'll talk about 5 stories that illustrate these common challenges and how trying to face them alone can often feel futile.
Job loss.
Imagine someone struggling to make ends meet every month. The paycheck doesn't cover the expenses, and every new bill feels like an added weight on their shoulders. This person tries everything, cutting costs, working extra hours, asking friends for help, but nothing seems to work. Desperation sets in. But when we put God at the center, we find peace even amidst the difficulties. Trusting Him opens doors to unexpected solutions and reminds us that
Job loss.
Now picture someone who's lost their job and, with it, their sense of security. This person had their identity and purpose tied to their work, and now feels useless and lost. With no plan, they desperately try to find any new job, but nothing seems to work out. Putting God at the center helps redefine our life's purpose beyond work. Through Him, we understand that our value doesn't come from our position or title, but from who we are as children of God.
Academic struggles.
A student is struggling to keep up good grades despite their best efforts. The pressures from school, family, and society are overwhelming, and they begin to think about dropping out. It's common to feel lost when our human attempts fail, but putting God at the center transforms how we approach these challenges. God gives us wisdom and strength to keep going, reminding us that knowledge and education have a greater purpose than just achieving high grades.
Business failure.
For the entrepreneur whose business is about to go bankrupt, the desperation is palpable. They've tried everything, made cuts, restructured, sought investors, but bankruptcy seems inevitable. They feel the weight of being solely responsible for their employees, their family, and their own livelihood. When we place God at the center, we understand that our success or failure doesn't define who we are. God's plan is bigger than our own efforts, and trusting Him brings peace that the world can't offer.
Family stress.
A mother is trying to balance work, home responsibilities, and raising her children. The stress is enormous, and it seems like there's never enough time to get everything done. She feels like she's failing in all areas. Placing God at the center of this family dynamic not only relieves the pressure but brings clarity and restored priorities. God teaches us to value the important moments, giving us wisdom to handle life's demands in a balanced way. Block 2. Trusting God when everything seems lost. When everything seems lost, our first reaction is often to try and fix things ourselves. It's common to believe that if we work harder, plan better, or control more aspects of our life, everything will fall into place. However, trusting God, especially in the darkest moments, is the way to find a path beyond what we can see.
Major life decisions.
Imagine someone about to make a huge life decision. Moving to a new city, taking a new job, or even getting married. This person is full of doubt, questioning whether they're making the right choice. They seek advice from friends and family, but still feel an overwhelming uncertainty. When they put God at the center of these decisions, they find that He provides a clear and calm direction, assuring them that even if the results aren't immediate, the path is under His control.
Serious illness.
A woman is diagnosed with a terminal illness. Fear, uncertainty, and emotional pain consume her. She is filled with questions. Why is this happening to me? What will happen to my family? When she places her trust in God, she finds peace in knowing that her life has a greater purpose. Even in the midst of illness, she discovers she can face each day with faith, believing that God is in control, no matter what the outcome.
Injured athlete.
A young athlete at the height of their career suffers a sudden injury, preventing them from continuing to compete. Their world falls apart. They had spent their entire life preparing for this moment, and now it seems like everything is over. When they put God at the center, they realize that their identity isn't just tied to sports. They see that God has a plan for their life beyond what they imagined.
Battling addiction.
A man struggling with addiction feels like he'll never break free. He's tried many times but always falls back into old habits. Despair and shame take over. When he surrenders his struggles to God, he finds a strength beyond his own capabilities. God provides the restoration and freedom he's been seeking, showing that faith can break chains that seem unbreakable.
Immigrant with nothing.
An immigrant arrives in a new country with nothing but the clothes on their back. They don't know anyone and have no resources. The sense of despair is overwhelming. But by putting their faith in God, they find hope and opportunities in the most unexpected places. God opens doors they never would have seen on their own, showing that even when everything seems lost, He always has a way. Block 3. Overcoming relationship challenges. Relationships can be one of the greatest sources of challenges in our lives. Conflict, misunderstandings, and a lack of emotional connection can make us feel alone, even when surrounded by others. However, when we put God at the center of our relationships, we discover that He can heal, restore, and strengthen these bonds in supernatural ways.
Marriage restoration.
A couple on the brink of divorce feels like their relationship is beyond repair. Years of hurt, arguments, and lack of communication have left them thinking there's no way back. But when they put God at the center of their marriage, something incredible begins to happen. They start to see each other through God's eyes, with more patience, empathy, and love. The process isn't instant, but with faith guiding their actions, they're able to restore what seemed irreparable.
Toxic relationship.
A young woman is trapped in a toxic relationship. She knows it's unhealthy but fears being alone. She tries everything to change the other person but nothing works. When she decides to place God at the center of her life, she realizes that her worth doesn't depend on another human being. God strengthens her to make the difficult choices and eventually frees her from this destructive relationship.
Social rejection.
A teenager who always felt excluded by their friends starts to believe they aren't worthy of love or acceptance. They try to fit in, change who they are, but the rejection continues. By finding their identity in God, they realize they are already fully loved and accepted by the one who created them. This transforms how they see themselves and how they interact with others.
Family reconnection.
A father, estranged from his children for years due to a messy divorce, decides he wants to reconnect. He doesn't know where to start because there's so much pain and resentment. By putting God at the center of this journey, he starts rebuilding the bridges gradually, with patience and unconditional love, showing that faith can heal even the deepest wounds.
Loneliness.
Someone who has been living alone for years feels a growing emptiness inside. They try to fill it with hobbies, friends, and even work, but the loneliness persists. When they turn to God, they discover they were never truly alone. God becomes their constant companion, filling the void with His love and presence, something no human relationship could ever provide. Block 4. Facing anxiety and fear through faith. Anxiety and fear are emotions that can easily take over our lives. They paralyze us, stop us from living fully, and often make us lose hope. But faith in God offers a way to face these emotions that the world cannot. God gives us peace even when logic tells us we should be panicking.
Panic attacks.
A woman has been suffering from panic attacks for years. Each time they happen, she feels like she's dying. Anxiety controls her life, limiting her daily activities. But by putting her trust in God, she begins to find peace amid the chaos. Prayer becomes her anchor, and she discovers that with God, she has nothing to fear because He is always with her, even in the scariest moments.
Fear of the future.
A recent college graduate is paralyzed by fear of the future. They don't know what career to pursue, where to live, or what to do. The uncertainty is crushing. But by placing their faith in God, they realize they don't need all the answers right now. God already has a plan for them, and their trust in His divine providence helps them take small steps without fear of what tomorrow will bring.
Uncertainty about changes.
Someone is about to move to a new city for a job. While excited, they are also filled with fear and uncertainty. Did they make the right choice? Will they adapt? By surrendering their worries to God, they find comfort in knowing that wherever they go, God will be with them. He is their constant in a world full of changes.
Fear of failure.
An entrepreneur with a history of failures is terrified to try again. They feel like every time they try, they fail, and this cycle leaves them paralyzed. Putting God at the center of their life changes their view of failure. They understand that God can use even their failures for something greater, and this gives them the courage to move forward without the fear of falling.
Insomnia from anxiety.
Someone who hasn't been able to sleep for weeks because of anxiety about the future. Every night they toss and turn, worried about what might happen. By putting God at the center of their thoughts, they begin to pray before bed and surrender all their worries to Him. Slowly they find peace and restful sleep, knowing that God is handling everything while they rest. Block 5. Transformation through complete surrender. True transformation in our lives happens when we stop trying to control everything and surrender our worries and challenges to God. This is one of the greatest acts of faith, believing that even when we don't understand what's happening, God has a bigger plan for us. Complete surrender to God transforms our lives in ways we never imagined.
Financial relief.
A man buried in debt decides to surrender his financial situation to God. He stops relying on his own efforts and begins praying for wisdom. Over time, unexpected opportunities arise. A new job, advice from a friend, debt relief. He realizes that God had been working the whole time, but he needed to trust.
Revived dreams.
A woman who had given up on her childhood dreams decides to surrender her life to God. She had settled for a life that didn't satisfy her, thinking it was too late to change. But by placing God at the center, she begins to see doors open. Her dreams, once thought dead, start to come alive in ways she never expected.
Academic breakthrough.
A college student is on the verge of dropping out. The workload and stress are consuming them. They try everything, but nothing seems to ease the burden. By surrendering their education to God, they find new strength. They realize that their studies aren't just for them, but for a greater purpose God has for their life.
Difficult decisions at work.
An executive is struggling to make tough decisions at work, feeling overwhelmed by responsibilities. They try to do everything alone, but the pressure is too much. When they decide to surrender their worries to God, they find clarity. God gives them wisdom to see things from a new perspective and make decisions that not only benefit their career but also honor their values.
Comfort after loss.
A woman loses a loved one and feels like she'll never be the same again. The grief consumes her and she feels lost. By putting God at the center of her pain, she begins to find comfort. God walks with her through each step of the healing process, showing her that while she feels the loss, she is never alone. He is with her in every moment of grief. Block 6. Testimonies of overcoming and hope. Throughout history, we have countless testimonies of people whose lives were transformed by putting God at the center. These testimonies are not just stories of victory but also of resilience and hope. They show us that when we surrender our struggles to God, He can perform miracles in our lives.
Financial transformation.
A person who was buried in debt with no hope of escaping decided to surrender their finances to God. Over time, they saw their finances stabilize in ways they couldn't explain. God provided, and their financial life was transformed.
Marriage miracle.
A couple who was on the verge of divorce found restoration by putting God at the center of their relationship. They decided they couldn't do it alone, and through faith, they saw their marriage healed and strengthened like never before.
Addiction freedom.
A man battling alcoholism found complete freedom by surrendering his life to God. He had tried everything, but it was his faith that finally set him free, and now he lives a sober life, helping others find the same path.
Emotional healing.
A woman struggling with deep depression found hope by putting God at the center of her life. While the journey to healing wasn't easy, her faith sustained her, and she now shares her testimony with others facing emotional battles.
Overcoming fear.
A young man living with constant fear of the future found courage by surrendering his fear to God. He learned to trust that God was guiding each step of his journey, and now he lives a life full of hope and confidence.
When we put God at the center of our lives, we find that He gives us strength, wisdom, and peace that the world cannot offer. Facing challenges with God by our side completely transforms our perspective and allows us to overcome even the darkest moments.
If this message spoke to your heart and you want to continue growing in faith and facing your challenges with renewed hope, subscribe to Voices of Spirituality. Here we share stories of faith, overcoming, and transformation every week. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And remember, with God at the center, you can face any challenge life throws at you.